Tonight on KGW News, a serial armed robbery suspect on the run. The type of shops police say he's been targeting and why he may not look like the man in this photo.
Plus, parents in Portland suburbs demand action on a growing homeless crisis.
And I think it's reasonable as a parent to raise the flag of what are we doing here?
And Oregon's highest court makes it official. What do Republican senators barred from re-election have to say about walking out again?
We knew the day we walked out, the possibility is that we would pay a pretty high price for it.
Then later, it's not quite the flavor profile you want for wine.
A mouthful of cigarette smoke or a day-old campfire.
How Oregon researchers are finding a way to protect grapes from wildfires.
Good evening, everyone. We begin at 11 with a father and son fighting for their lives after they tried to help a woman in trouble in Kelso. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Blair Best. Police say the victims saw what appeared to be domestic violence and tried to step in only to become victims themselves. Catherine Cook has the story.
Kelso police say the stabbing attack happened around 10:30 Saturday night in this McDonald's parking lot in Kelso. They say a man and his 15-year-old son sustained life-threatening injuries, and two teenage suspects are now behind bars.
There's a female screaming a whole lot, just saying stop, stop, stop.
Corey says the woman's screams caught his attention late Saturday night. He and his dog Marley were near this McDonald's in Kelso. He says the woman in distress captured other people's attention too. Specifically, police say, a 43-year-old man and his 15-year-old son. Investigators say the pair confronted the suspect, hoping to de-escalate the alleged domestic violence.
It sounded like they tried to break it up. All I heard was one dude talking a lot of crap to another guy, and they started screaming at each other, and then there was a lot of screaming about stop, stop, stop. And then all the sirens and all the cops came and ambulances. And
police say the suspect, 19-year-old Cameron Kerr of Longview, and several others surrounded the father and son and attacked them. The victims were both stabbed and sustained life-threatening injuries. Police arrested Kerr on Wednesday, and on Thursday they arrested a 16-year-old. Both face first-degree assault charges. Investigators haven't released the names of the victims or how they're doing, noting it's still an active investigation. As for Corey,
it's a quiet little town, but stuff does happen.
He hopes the father and son survive after just trying to help. In Kelso, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, two men have been arrested for a shooting in the Salem Fred Meyer parking lot. Jamie Thomason and Robert Josh Jr. are charged with attempted murder for the incident Monday morning. Police say they knew all of the victims. Two people who were shot are still in the hospital. A third has since been released.
Lake Oswego police say this spa was a front for human sex trafficking. Detectives today said Flora Spa pretended to be a legitimate massage business, but after months of investigation, they believe at least 10 women were compelled to work at the spa as prostitutes. Police say the spa fit a pattern common in sex trafficking, the exploitation of women from other countries. Two people connected with Flora Spa have now been charged with promoting prostitution.
And Portland police are asking for help tracking down a man they say robbed 5 Portland dispensaries at gunpoint. This is 43-year-old Corey Jackson. The robberies began in April of last year at a shop on Northwest Nikolai Street. Between then and September, Jackson allegedly hit dispensaries on Cesar Chavez, Sandy Boulevard, Southeast 28th, and Johnson Creek Boulevard. He's also wanted for several felony crimes in other states. Police say Jackson uses wigs to alter his appearance and has a knuckle tattoo that says homesick.
Well, homelessness and the addiction crisis are not confined to Portland. Surrounding cities, including Beaverton, are also grappling with the growing problem. Parents there are now questioning how the city is responding after a man in crisis died in a public park earlier this week. As Portland fights to keep up with the crisis on its streets,
it seems like
homeless people like Ronald turn to surrounding cities, including Beaverton.
Because Portland and Multnomah County didn't have no shelters for me and my girlfriend.
James has a similar story.
And there's no resources. Like, I tried to get into treatment when I came up here, and I'm still waiting.
there's spread from Portland. If Portland doesn't have the services, these people are going to come into all of the other bedroom communities.
Sarah Toner lives in Beaverton. She sees this daily.
My child goes to a school that's right across the street from a shelter.
Earlier this week, a man accidentally caught himself on fire in City Park. He was life-flighted to a hospital where he later died. It happened right across the street from that shelter outside the public library.
And I think it's reasonable as a parent to raise the flag of what are we doing here?
In a statement, Beaverton Mayor Lacey Beatty listed steps the city is taking to enhance public safety. Those include expanding their police bike team and offering mental health support to those in need. She also notes an addiction resource center is in the works at the county level.
I have a feeling the city's looking at us as if we are just this uptight, clenched population that don't want this around our kids. And it's not that we don't want this around our kids, we just want the support necessary for these individuals.
Just a tough situation on all fronts. Well, Beaverton's mayor is also calling for understanding and compassion during these challenging times as they work to keep the city a safe and vibrant place.
New tonight, police in Astoria have arrested a man who claims to have set a house on fire because he believed vampires were inside. The home on West Bond Street caught fire early Tuesday morning. 2 people inside got out safely but had to jump over an arcing power line to get away. Later in the day, police say the suspect called them to admit his involvement. He told them he'd slept on the porch of the house one night last week and heard voices telling him to burn it down because vampires were inside. Officers say the suspect said he spray painted crosses on the walls and then used a lighter and the spray paint to start the fire. The suspect is now in custody facing charges of arson, reckless endangering, and criminal mischief. The home next door was also damaged. New dash cam video just released by Vancouver police shows what could have been a terrible crash averted. This was during the snowstorm last month. The driver was going the wrong way in the northbound lanes of I-205. There it is, coming right at it. An officer was able to get their attention and alert them to pull over. That person was arrested for reckless driving. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
Well, in an update tonight from Oregon's largest school district, which has now agreed to tentative contracts with 2 unions representing custodians, education assistants, and other staff. Those Portland Public School workers will now receive significant pay hikes. They include education and library assistants with pay bumps of more than 13% over 3 years, and custodians and nutrition service workers with raises of at least 12%. Now, these deals come 3 months after Portland teachers went on strike, resulting in close to a month of missed school. Tonight, union leaders say while it's not everything they wanted, it's a step in the right direction.
It is an increase that makes us slightly more competitive, so hopefully that will help us in hiring and retaining people.
Now, both deals still need to be approved by their members.
Portland City Council today passed a plan intended to incentivize more housing by loosening regulations for developers. The package relaxes 15 regulations for builders to try and cut through some of the red tape that comes with new developments. Those include rules around providing bike parking, eco roofs in apartment buildings, and certain restrictions against ground floor units.
We can't control inflation, but we can control is giving some relief to some folks, some developers, to make sure that their time is used efficiently, and every little bit helps so that we can catalyze more housing development right now in Portland.
The package also provides some tax relief for developments where affordable housing is required.
10 Oregon senators who participated in the Republican-led walkouts will now be barred from re-election.
Yeah, that is the ruling today from the state Supreme Court. Evan Watson followed up with the Senate's Republican leader, who in political speak is now a lame duck.
The Oregon Supreme Court decided that voters' intent, their understanding of the text, matters. And with Measure 113, voters likely expected immediate consequences. 9 Republican senators and 1 independent racked up 10 unexcused absences during the walkouts this past summer, stalling any work in the Senate. 4 of them now won't be able to run for re-election later this year, including Senate Republican leader Tim Knopp. 2 other senators plan to retire this year, and the remaining 4 senators will be ineligible for re-election in 2026. Explaining its decision, the Supreme Court wrote, "We do not review the text in a void. We instead seek to understand how voters would have understood the text in the light of the other materials that accompanied it." Senator Tim Knopp said he disagrees with the ruling, but still thinks the walkout was worth it to force Democrats to negotiate.
The public does want some check and balance as it relates to a party's ability to just do whatever they want. If something comes up in the future, I think there's a strong possibility that it could happen again.
Knopp says he does not plan on appealing the ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court. The 2024 short session starts on Monday. The Secretary of State said the court's ruling upholds the intent of the voters, and she's grateful for the clarity. Now, Republicans will be forced to replace most of their Senate members over the next 3 years.
Well, now to a developing case out of New York City tonight that's drawing outrage. Video shows 2 NYPD officers being beaten in Times Square. They were kicked and punched as police say they were trying to disperse a disorderly crowd this past Saturday. Making some even more upset, the 7 suspects arrested are all back on the street, released without bail. Also, the NYPD says all 7 suspects are migrants who came to the city in the past year, and several have other arrests on their record in the U.S.
Yeah, whatever the circumstances, that video is hard to watch. You're watching KGW News, and straight ahead at 11, we'll toast to that. Now, local researchers are making edible progress when it comes to keeping wildfire smoke from tainting your Pinot Noir.
Plus, what the start of crabbing season was like in the southwest Washington town devastated by this fire on the docks.
Well, the start of February is a warm one, amazingly warm. In fact, record warm. We'll have those numbers for you. See the clearing we had earlier, then the clouds began to roll in. This is from our reserve golf course sky cam. But don't worry, there's a lot of dry weather and a lot of sunny weather in the forecast. We'll see if that groundhog can see its shadow tomorrow.